At family dinner, my sister leaned back in her chair, a smug smile on her face as she delivered the line she'd been holding onto all evening. You'll never own property. Dad nodded, clearly pleased. Better stick to renting forever. Eyes turned to me, waiting for me to crack, waiting for a flicker of anger or embarrassment. I gave them nothing. I exhaled slowly, set my fork down, and said, "You're probably right." But while the room relaxed, thinking the moment had passed, a sharper feeling settled inside me. Because the very next morning, before anyone else was awake, I made a single call. One that would flip the story they believed they controlled. My name is Aurora, and for as long as I can remember, my family has measured success in square footage, mortgage numbers, and the volume of renovations bragged about at dinner. I grew up learning to make myself small in conversations that never felt meant for me. Selena was always the shining example. Straight A student, flawless resume. The daughter who seemed to have it all figured out. When she bought her house in her late 20s, my parents treated it like a family trophy, polished for every gathering. I never corrected their assumptions about me. Why would I? They'd already written the script. I was the daughter who preferred renting, the one supposedly too delicate for the stress of ownership, the quiet child who must be struggling, too polite to admit it. They never asked about my work beyond a half interested. How's that consulting thing going? They had no idea it wasn't consulting at all. It was acquisitions, tenant vetting, renovations, budgeting, cash flow projections. Things they never imagined I could handle. I didn't hide it out of fear. I hid it because their applause always went to the loudest person in the room, and I had no interest in performing. 2 years ago, on a cold late fall night, my phone lit up with Selena's name. Her voice trembled before I even said hello. She'd lost her job and the mortgage, $3,000 a month, was drowning her. "Please," she whispered, "don't tell Mom and Dad. They can't know I failed. I'll pay you back as soon as I'm on my feet." I heard the panic in her breath, and for a fleeting moment, she wasn't the golden child. She was just my sister, terrified of falling off the pedestal everyone else had built for her. So I helped. 1 month, then 3, then 6. By the end of the first year, the payments had become automatic, quietly withdrawn from my business account, unnoticed by anyone but me. She eventually landed another job, but the pay was lower and the lifestyle she insisted on keeping didn't shrink along with it. The house, the upgrades, the polished image. Everything relied on money she didn't have, and on pride she refused to loosen her grip on. Meanwhile, I kept growing my investments. Picked up a duplex by the river, a triplex in the heart of the city, and several single-family places in reliable neighborhoods. 17 properties altogether, each one quietly covering its own costs, and then some. I lived modestly, dressed plainly, and kept to myself, not out of a lack of drive, but because noise has never built anything worth holding on to. But last night, sitting at that dinner table, when Selena laughed and boldly announced my supposed limits to the entire family, something inside me shifted. It wasn't the insult that got to me. It was the confidence behind it. The absolute certainty that I would always remain small, so she could feel larger. She had no idea how wrong she was. The next morning felt unnervingly still, the kind of stillness that lingers right after a storm. Heavy, poised, as if waiting for you to decide whether you'll rebuild or let the damage sit untouched. I made coffee, pulled open the blinds of my tiny one-bedroom apartment, and let the pale morning light wash across the wooden floor. For a moment, I simply stood there breathing, letting the memories of the night before replay in sharp, embarrassing fragments. Selena's laugh, Dad's approving nod, the eyes around the table searching my expression for any sign of breaking. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Selena lit the screen. A photo of her kitchen, fresh backsplash installed, followed by another line that made my stomach knot. Thinking about redoing the master bath next. Might as well keep building equity. Equity. The word hit harder than the insult. She was talking about equity with money that wasn't even hers. Money I had been discreetly sending every month for 2 years. Money she used to polish a life built on shaky ground. I stared at the picture. Shiny tiles, warm lighting tucked beneath the cabinets, and felt a cold, steady realization settle over me. I had helped her get by, yes, but I had also enabled her performance, letting her shine while I stayed behind the curtain holding everything up. Not anymore. I opened my laptop, pulled up the dashboard for my rentals, and scrolled through the figures. 17 properties, high occupancy, income climbing, months of repairs, late night planning, and disciplined choices had brought me here. Quiet achievement, quiet stability, quiet strength. I'd spent years living well under my means while Selena lived far beyond hers, and somehow the narrative painted her as the responsible one. The hypocrisy burned, but not as sharply as the realization that my silence had allowed it. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Selena. Bathroom reno might be expensive, but it'll add tons of value. Totally worth it. I didn't answer. Instead, I tapped Janet's name. She picked up by the second ring. Warm as always. Morning, Aurora. How's it going? I sat down at my kitchen table, the cool wood pressing against my hands. I need to make a change, I said. My voice stayed steady. Stop accepting her rent payments. Starting next month. A small pause followed. Quiet but heavy. You're certain? I am. All right. I'll update everything from my side. When the call ended, I kept my palms on the table, letting the stillness settle around me. The choice felt like an anchor dropping. Solid, final, but necessary. 2 years of helping, 2 years of secrecy, 2 years of letting my sister and my whole family believe a version of me that never existed. It was time to let the truth catch up. I didn't know exactly how things would unfold, but one thing was undeniable. Selena was about to feel the ground shift beneath her. It took Selena a while to notice the missing payment. It always did. She was used to things running smoothly, predictably, money showing up precisely when she needed it, safety nets catching her before she even knew she'd slipped. But 3 days later, a little after noon, my phone lit up with her name. I already knew what the call was about. Aurora. Her voice trembled, just barely. Hey, something strange happened with my mortgage payment. The transfer didn't go through. Did your bank glitch or something? I leaned back in my chair, letting the silence stretch just enough for the truth to settle between us. No, I said. There was no glitch. A sharp inhale. Okay, so is it late? Should I expect it tonight? Tomorrow? No, it's not coming. The quiet on her end wasn't quiet at all. It was panic wrapped in a thin shell of dignity. What do you mean it's not coming? She whispered. I've covered you for 2 years, I said evenly. 24 months of payments. That stops now. Her composure shattered instantly. Aurora, you can't do this. I can't afford the entire mortgage right now. I told you I just need a little more time. You said that a year ago. That was different. Her voice spiked, then wavered. I'm getting a promotion soon, and the bathroom renovation will boost the property value. I just need you to be patient. Patient? The word tasted bitter. Selena, I said quietly, I'm done holding you up while you pretend you're standing on your own. She let out a sharp, angry breath. Half disbelief, half disgust. So what? You're punishing me because of what I said at dinner? You're being ridiculous. You know I didn't mean it like that. You meant every word. She fell silent again. The truth had nowhere left to hide. But why now? She finally asked, her voice breaking. Why choose this exact moment to pull everything out from under me? Because last night, for the first time, I saw things clearly. My quietness had become permission. My support had morphed into entitlement. My concern had turned into a shield she hid behind while mocking me across a dinner table. Still, I said nothing more than, because it's time. Selena's breathing hitched. I can't lose the house, Aurora. If they find out I couldn't keep up, I'll fall apart. Mom and Dad will. This is your responsibility, I said gently, not mine. Then came her frantic, messy, emotional pledges. Cutting spending, hunting for higher-paying work, promising to pay me back one day. Every word felt painfully recycled from 2 years of postponements. I'm not your fix anymore, I told her. You need to learn what living within your means actually looks like. We sat in silence for a long, heavy moment. Then she hung up without a word of goodbye. 2 hours later, A new text lit up my screen. I'm calling a family meeting tonight. The words glowed like a warning, but fear didn't rise. Only the first full inhale of truth. The living room seemed smaller than usual when I arrived that night, as if the walls themselves braced for the confrontation ahead. Mom sat on the sofa, fingers nervously entwined. Dad stood by the window, rigid, jaw tight. Uncle Mason lingered near the doorway, as if insisting on front row access to the unfolding drama, and Selena. She planted herself in the center, eyes red, makeup streaked, desperately trying to appear composed, but failing with every breath. She didn't wait for me to sit. Tell them, she said, voice thin and sharp. Mom frowned. Tell us what? Selena swallowed hard, her throat bobbing. I can't afford my house payments. Mom blinked, stunned. Dad's eyebrows twitched, somewhere between disbelief and near denial. I remained silent. I haven't been able to for 2 years, Selena's voice cracked as she admitted. A long, tense pause. Then Mason cleared his throat. 2 years. Her gaze flicked to me and away again. Aurora's been helping me. Dad straightened abruptly. Helping you how? She drew a shaky breath. She's been paying my mortgage. Mom gasped softly, hand flying to her chest. Dad stared at Selena as if she'd just confessed to burning the house down. $3,000 a month, he muttered. Every month? Yes, Selena whispered. All eyes shifted to me. Shock, confusion, and embarrassment swirled into a thick, heavy silence. Dad finally managed to speak. But Aurora rents. She barely. I barely. My tone stayed even, controlled. Barely keep my life together. Barely stay above water. Barely grasp finances. A deep flush crept over his face. I reached into my bag and pulled out a thin folder. The same briefing Janet had put together for moments exactly like this. I set it lightly on the coffee table and pushed it toward him. You should probably look at this before you finish that sentence. Dad paused, then picked it up. As he read, the shift in his expression played out like a scene in a film. Confusion, disbelief, and then a frozen quiet. He glanced at Mom, then back at the page. 17 properties, he murmured. Mom leaned closer, scanning over his shoulder. Rental income, market value, these figures, her voice faded as she read. Uncle Mason's eyebrows shot up. This says your portfolio is worth about $4 million. Dad lowered the papers slowly. Aurora, is this real? It's correct, I answered plainly. I've been running my own investment properties for years. Another silence fell over the room, thicker, weightier than before. Selena kept her gaze down, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Her breath shook as she swiped a thumb beneath them. You never told us, Mom whispered. You never asked, I said. Dad opened his mouth as if to respond, then closed it again. He looked smaller now, as though the world he built in his mind had tilted out of place. All this time we thought. I know what you assume, I said softly, and I chose not to correct you. Selena finally lifted her head. I didn't want anyone to know I was struggling, she said. I couldn't stand feeling less. Her voice broke on the last word. So, I let Aurora help, and I kept telling myself it would just be temporary. But then renovations, repairs, everything got more expensive. And you just acted like everything was okay, I said, finishing the sentence for her. She nodded, tears spilling over. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to lose the life I worked so hard for. You didn't build it alone, I replied gently. That's the real issue. Dad stepped closer, guilt shadowing his features. Aurora, we've treated you unfairly. Yes, I said without harshness. You have. Mom's eyes glistened with tears. Why didn't you tell us you'd made it? Why keep something so amazing from us? I didn't need applause to recognize my own value, I replied. But I do need boundaries, and I should have set them sooner. Selena looked at me with desperation. So what happens now? Can you keep helping me until I get promoted? I'll figure the rest out, I swear. No, I said firmly. Her face fell. Aurora, please. I love you, I said gently. But I won't bankroll a life you can't sustain. You have 30 days to decide what to do with the house. Sell it, refinance, downsize. It's your responsibility, not mine. She shook her head, tears streaming freely. They'll think I failed. Before I could speak, Dad chimed in. You didn't fail because you needed help. You failed because you hid it and pretended to be better than the person offering it. Selena flinched, as if his words had struck her. Mom moved closer, resting a hand on her arm. Sweetheart, you don't need to impress us. You just need to be honest. But I wasn't, Selena whispered. Not for 2 years. And now, I said softly, you get to be. The room seemed to shift, even amid the tension. Truth had reshaped everything. Every assumption, judgment, and pedestal. For the first time in years, no one was putting on a show. Dad's voice dropped lower than I'd ever heard. Aurora, I owe you a real apology. Selena wiped at her face slowly, breathing unevenly. I never meant to hurt you. I know, I said, but you did. And now we fix it by being real. All of us. Silence stretched for a long moment. The air felt different. Lighter in some corners, heavier in others. But it was honest. And for the first time, that honesty was enough. 30 days passed quicker than any of us anticipated. Selena tried everything. Budget spreadsheets, side gigs, late-night job applications. But the numbers never matched the life she'd built on borrowed security. When the house went up for sale, she cried quietly while packing. These were tears born not from losing a home, but from confronting reality without a shield. I helped her move, not with money, but with my hands, carrying lamps, taping boxes, loading her car. She murmured apologies between breaths, quieter this time. Genuine. I thought selling meant I failed, she said, as we stood in her now empty living room. But maybe the real failure was pretending I didn't need help. It's not failure, I told her. It's alignment. Your life finally matches your income. That's stability. Her new condo was smaller, simpler, yet calmer in a way her old house never had been. No suffocating payments, no quiet anxiety, no pressure to perform. My parents had shifted, too. Dad started asking for my input on refinancing their retirement cabin. Mom sent me texts with articles about real estate trends. Proud, but quietly. No show, just genuine curiosity. Sunday dinners changed, too. Less comparing, more conversation. For once, no one was bragging or judging, just talking. Selena started rebuilding her finances step by honest step. Our relationship, stripped of secrets and expectations, finally felt like true sisterhood instead of obligation. And me, I felt lighter, as if I had reclaimed space I didn't even realize I had given away. Looking back, I see now that the real win wasn't exposing the truth. It was understanding that boundaries aren't walls. They're protection. My family sees me differently now, not because I had to prove anything, but because I finally stopped shrinking. Selena is rebuilding with honesty this time, and our bond is stronger for it. Peace feels different when it's not purchased with silence. If you've ever felt underestimated by those who should know you best, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments and subscribe for what's next.